Welcome, one and all, to the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast. I am the reigning, defending Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion, Phil K.O.E., here to give my breakdown of the 5 greatest Universal Champions of all time. And who better to do it than the greatest Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion of all time, the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, the prince and potentate of the political parlance, the lord of the Scottish Highlands, the conqueror of the ethereal, and one damn handsome man, if I do say so myself. I figured, no, there is no one better. It has to be you, Phil. This is a service to the public you need to give and bless to all sundry. So without further ado, let's get right in to the top 5 Universal Champions of all time. So we're gonna start off with number 5. So unfortunate, because this one should be so much higher on the list, because he won't see the sun again for years to come. He's broken and in love. The Fiend. The Fiend. Oh, his reign as Universal Champion was pretty good. And then the global bastard hit. And everything, including the Fiend's push, all our lives, everything got derailed for a while. And so, unfortunately, he can only go to number 5 when he should be number 1. But it is what it is, folks. I'm a huge fan of the Fiend, and I think he can get himself back over, but I've never seen somebody buried so completely, so absolutely, so 100% after they've been given the Universal Championship. So this is one, with a heavy heart, I have to give that fiendish Fiend number 5. To the Fiend. Now we move on to number 4. And if you're going to move on to number 4, you know, it's time to burn it down. Yes. Seth freaking Rollins is the 4th greatest Universal Champion of all time in this young belt's young history. So what can be said other than he is one of the few Brock killers? There's a very few and far between folks that can say they've got clean victories over Brock, and none quite so decisive as Seth's victory over Brock at WrestleMania. That was Brock. I'm almost wondering if, like, did Brock just not care, or like I don't know what the deal was, but Seth just demolished him in no time flat, and he had a pretty good run with the title, and they ran it back at SummerSlam, and yeah, it was real. Seth got himself over as a really marquee top-level babyface, and he can also do the heel work as well. But unfortunately, there's somebody doing a little bit better, and we'll get to that in a moment. But the 4th greatest Universal Champion of all time, Seth freaking Rollins. Now we move on to number 3. Who will go down as the 3rd greatest Universal Champion of all time? Well, as of the recording of this video, the current champion is Roman Reigns. So I think it is fair to give him number 3. Normally, I put the current champions much lower, or I don't include them, but Roman's done such amazing work as the tribal chief, as the head of the table, and as the head of the table of the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast and Big Buckin' Empire. I can understand his frustration. I understand heavy hangs the head that wears the crown. So I have to put him higher than at the bottom of the list, and that's why I am giving Roman Reigns number 3. And by the time his reign is over, he might be higher, folks. Be sure to check back here because this reign is going to last so long that I'll be able to give a full omnibus on the Roman Reigns title reign along with my own. So, moving right along, but before we do that, to the Tribal Chief. Now, we move on to the second greatest Universal Champion of all time. Goldberg! Goldberg! Ha! Goldberg! Goldberg! Yes, Goldberg is the second greatest Universal Champion of all time. Is he controversial? Yes. Does he work 5-star matches? No. Does he bring the attention and does he bring that old school mystique back with him? You bet your ass he does. So that's why Goldberg, in his reigns as Universal Champion, brought so much of those old school fans, and you just kind of had that old school feeling like, I'm watching a match from 99, 2000, 2001 again. And that's worth something. And that's the reason why he commands so much for so few matches. So, is this the most controversial pick on my list? Yes, it is. Do I care? No. It's my show. Bring it. Bring it. Goldberg and his feud with Lesnar was one of the greatest things that happened over the last few years. And anything afterwards, sure, we can talk about that. But his time on top. Now, yes, even getting the Universal Championship at times was very controversial. It did cut down the momentum of the Fiend, but it was really the only person that could have done it, and the audience still find it legitimate. Like, there was no way that Drew McIntyre was going to get the 1, 2, 3 on the Fiend and anybody believe it. Now, that's a different question, but at the time, better days, better days. So, we move on, but first, toast to Bill Goldberg, the second greatest Universal Champion of all time. Goldberg! Goldberg! Now, we move onward and upward to number 1. Who else could it be? Who else should it be? There is only one person as the number 1 champion of the Universal Championship of all time, and that is beyond a shadow of a doubt, Finn Balor. No. We're not doing that. Sorry. Even I couldn't resist. I wanted to troll you, but no. It is the Beast, Brock Lesnar. Yes. Who else could be number 1 other than the longest reigning Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar? The man basically willed the legitimacy of the title into existence by him just holding it for so long. Was he around to defend it all the time? Nope. Did it actually give him the old school mystique of an interesting attraction? You bet your ass it did. And so that's why Brock Lesnar and his amazing 400+ day reign as Universal Champion gives him the easy number 1 slot as the greatest Universal Champion of all time. Folks, I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your King of Extreme, Phil K.O.E., and these are my top 5 Universal Champions of all time. Tell me why I'm wrong, or tell me why I'm right. But as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself. the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, reigning, defending champion, the prince and potentate of the political parlance, the lord of the Scottish Highlands, the conqueror of the ethereal, the emperor of big fucking empire, and one damn handsome man, if I do say so myself. You can find all of us here at the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast on YouTube and Spotify. You can find me at K.O.E Nation on YouTube and Twitch, and be sure to check out Big Buckin' Empire on YouTube, Facebook, and of course Twitch as well. So folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Raise a glass, and I hope to find all of you back here happy, healthy, much the wiser. Champion's blessing, y'all.